Pokemon are everywhere. They're invading.
Pokemon for Game Boy is here.
The official Pokemon trading card game. It's hand-to-hand combat.
Now at Burger King, limited edition toys and trading cards from Pokemon the first movie.
It's crunchy, it's tasty.
Oh, man. I'm getting old. It honestly doesn't sink in for me just how long Pokemon's been around until I look at these old 90s TV commercials from when Pokemania was first a thing. Sometimes it's hard for me to believe that it's actually been 20 years since Pokemon first came out. But those childhood memories are certainly not getting any closer. When Pokemon first came out though, it was everywhere. I mean, moms were playing it, dads were playing it, dogs were playing it, and you might have had a few kids like myself who pretty much only ate, slept, and breathed Pokemon. It pretty much hit peak fad in the 90s when it made the cover of Time magazine, which was also around the time that all your preachers in church were like, oh yeah, that's straight up from the devil. What is that? What we got there? You got some Pokemon cards? You got a couple Pokemon card packs in your back pocket? I honestly would have preferred drugs. I wish you had drugs in your back pocket instead of those Pokemon cards. It's a little extreme. It's gotten to the point now where if you're a newer, younger fan of the series, it probably seems to you the way that Mario and Final Fantasy have always seemed to me. They're just something that's always been there, and with the way Pokemon Go seems to continue printing money hand over fist, and people seem to like that new Pokemon game on Switch pretty well, it's probably always gonna be. But unlike Mario and Final Fantasy, who have continued to evolve and change their gameplay styles over the years, Pokemon is, in a lot of ways, still stuck in that same blueprint that they laid out back in the 90s. Pretty much every generation has been build the team, fight some guys, get some random shiny object from 8 people, take on the biggest and baddest the region has to offer, become their leader, and, I don't know, maybe fight like a bad guy or two. Like, I'm 10, I've got a busy schedule, I'm not really looking to be tied down to anything, okay? God. Now, to be fair, this is a formula that continues to work really well, and I do happen to like it a lot, but that doesn't mean that there's not fans who have just gotten tired of the series along the way. And just because I love this series, it also doesn't mean that I don't want more from it. For what it's worth, I really do think that Pokemon Let's Go has made a lot of steps in the right directions. A lot of the changes they've made I would love to see return. I thought the catching mechanic was great. I just felt like it made a whole lot more sense that going about catching a Pokemon that way would then in turn make it a little more inclined to fight on your side with your team. But I also like that for certain encounters they did keep the battle aspect of it before you just went ahead and caught it. Especially for a Pokemon like Mewtwo, which to me has always been very anticlimactic because you would just show up at Mount Silver and rather than fight Mewtwo at all, you would just throw a Master Ball and catch it right away. Or the more frustrating option would be to also fight it even though you really didn't need to try and get it in an Ultra Ball or something like that. And it just never felt that great to do. Game Freak has done a wonderful job of creating a narrative and a world that I want time and again to be a part of. It's honestly kind of a shame that the games don't do as good of a job of immersing us in the world we see presented to us in the anime. The world is vast and colorful and alive, but for some reason, Pokemon games are still dictated by the original Game Boy hardware. The anime was my first experience with Pokemon, and I'm sure a lot of people were similar. To me, it just seemed like this cartoon show came out of nowhere, and then I found out later that it was a game. It was really exciting to see this world presented to me and then find out that I could jump into it. So it's because of that, the basis for a lot of my ideas stem from the anime. Really though, a few simple things could go a long way in improving the core gameplay we've been getting since the late 90s, and I don't even think they would be that hard at all to implement. One of my biggest gripes that I would love to see fixed is to just take the camera from a top-down perspective and shift it down into a third-person one. Like, I honestly don't understand why on the 3DS, which is essentially a GameCube, like it plays like remastered GameCube games, why we still have to play our RPGs in a top-down perspective. This is more of like a personal gripe with the series, but I do think that a third-person perspective could go a long way in the overall goal of immersion in this fantasy world. To go along with that, I would also like to see an open world. Being able to walk out of your hometown and go in whatever direction you want right from the start would be really great, rather than just a fixed, linear, tunnel-like pathway that has very little in the way of anything interesting, let alone any interesting Pokemon beyond that region's bird and rodent. It would also add to the overall feel and sense of adventure within the game. And it's not like this would be hard to do. It's already been done in a ROM hack called Pokemon Crystal Clear. The world could level with you, letting you take on whatever gym or trial in any order without having to worry too much that you'll be in too far over your head. And being able to re-challenge whatever checkpoints they decide to have in-game once you become champion to see their teams when they go all out would be a nice incentive to keep playing. It would be a nice little post-game for the people that want it. And there's plenty of Pokemon fans out there that beg for post-game content, and we don't always get it, and also fans don't always play it. But considering that they would probably have to have teams built for every gym leader at the highest level anyways for whichever one you would end up challenging last, just letting you be able to challenge those teams anyways would be a nice little bit of content. This also lines up nicely with something I appreciated from the Pokemon Origins anime. When Red first challenges Brock, he's immediately shot down for not being ready by two people standing outside of the gym. He's also only been on his journey for about 5 days at that point. But then Brock comes out and accepts his challenge anyway. He then asks him if he has any badges. When he finds out he doesn't, he chooses 2 Pokemon from a collection of his that would be appropriate for Red to face at that point. This, to me, gives a perfect context for why the world would scale to your level and ability. It also fixes some of the characterization issues I have with gym leaders in the games. With the first gym leader having such low level Pokemon, it always made me wonder how this guy became a gym leader in the first place. But by presenting them in this manner, as tailoring their team to the specific challenger that's coming at them, it really shows them as worthy of the position they have. Not only that they're strong, accomplished trainers, but that they also know when to rein it in when dealing with somebody fresh on their journey. But I also wouldn't mind some sections of the game that don't scale to you. Spots that are either locked at being so easy you feel like the greatest trainer ever, and others that are only made for the best of the best that will hand your butt to you in a paper bag, just to keep you on your toes. Beyond that, one thing I want to see more than anything is to have more than one way to progress through the game. Maybe even different trainer types that we could select at the outset of the game. Pokemon has always been about being a trainer, battling gyms, and becoming champion, but I would love to see other goals set out for us to achieve. Personally, my mind immediately goes to contests, and I'm sure a lot of you out there are the same. And I know, contests have probably been kept to Gen 3 and Gen 4 games for a reason. I don't think anyone really plays them, at least willingly, and they're pretty slow and boring. But when you see contests in the anime, there are huge spectacle-filled events. I don't think we're beyond the realm of capability to make them more like that. Being able to dress our characters in eye-catching outfits and getting our Pokemon in a similar look to match, and then go out and actually dazzle a crowd could be something that I think could be a lot of fun and actually a worthy companion and alternate route to battles. This could also be a golden opportunity to introduce something else that I really appreciate from the anime. I remember in one episode in particular, I think Dawn had what would then become Ash's Weasel at the time, and would pair its Aqua Jet with some type of ice move and basically turned him into an icicle flying through the air or something. My memory's hazy. But I think that would be a really cool way to introduce moves combining. There's something in the games kind of similar already with the moves Grass, Fire, and Water Pledge. When both used at the same time, they actually combine together, and instead of having the base power of 50, they have a base power of 150 and an additional effect applied afterward depending on which of the moves were combined. I think it would just be really cool to be able to extend that to more than just that core set of 3 moves. And maybe it couldn't be done with every move in the game, but maybe introduce more moves that have similar interactions with each other that are tailor-made for contests. I always thought it was kind of lame that contests, you just use the moves you used in battle, but rather than them doing their normal damaging effect, they had some contest-specific ability. I think it would just make more sense that if contests are going to be their own path through the game, to maybe make contest specific moves and also an in-battle moveset, kind of separating the two even more. So that way, if you don't want to have to deal with contests at all, it's completely separate and you don't have to touch it at all. But if it's something you want to buy into, it's there and fully fleshed out for you to theme your adventure around it. Honestly, I don't even think that it should stop there. I would love to see a third type of character alongside trainer and contest star, but I'm not entirely sure what it should be or how to even go about setting it up. Though I've thought that following the trio of Ash and whatever female companion he had, and Brock, with Ash being the trainer, the female companion being the contest star, and then Brock being a Pokemon breeder, that could be a good way to go. I also wouldn't mind seeing a major shakeup to the way battles are conducted in the games. And I have some ideas there as well, but since I don't want this video to go on too long, I'll save those for another time. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching my video. And if you have thoughts and opinions of your own about what you would like to see done or changed in the Pokemon games, I would love to read them. If you'd like to support what I do here, please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks so much, and until next time.